Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I was telling Brian earlier, when I picked this date on the calendar, it was open, and now I know why. So many of you have a holiday today or fall break. It's President's Day, but thank you for joining us. I know some of you are joining us on your own time, and we are incredibly thankful for your gift of time, and thank you for joining us today. I hope you can see our screen and hear our voices. It would be nice if you could put your hand in the air. Beside your name is a little hand icon. Jacqueline still hears us, yay. If anybody else sighed, yes, other people, thank you, Katrina, Michelle. Right now we have you muted, but we will take that, we'll unmute you at the end, and we'll have time for Q&A. We want this to be a very informal, think of all the questions you've ever had. Feel free to ask us those questions. My name is Amanda Bice, and I am the Science Program Manager here at DOE, and I am joined by my esteemed colleague.
Hi, everybody. My name is Brian Cox. I'm the Computer Science Specialist at the Department of Education.
And I specifically sort of recruited science teachers for this webinar today and asked Brian to come and talk to our community because this might be something that you're curious about or that you're a little interested in. Maybe you haven't heard a lot about it. And so this is the time to ask your questions. We have some stuff that we want to tell you about, and we'll get through those things and then have plenty of time and can hang out with you as long as possible afterwards. So I'm going to turn off my video now. Now you know a name and a face. And crazy enough, I'm sitting here in a thunderstorm with lightning and thunder, and I'm like, anything I can do to probably ensure that my internet connectivity is not being stretched is probably wise. All right, here are our emails if you need to get in touch with us. And for science teachers, I want to just bring up the graduation rule because that's kind of where the computer science option comes into play. And so it's just a good opportunity for us to review that rule. So the grad rule that we are working under now says that all high school students must have 4 units of credit in science to graduate. All right, so that's 1 full unit in biology. Every student in the state has biology. Then for the other unit, it has to be a physical science or physics. So a child can choose one or the other, either or. Then the options expand even more for that 3rd unit. They could have chemistry, earth systems, environmental, or an APIB. And then they have that 1 additional science unit. And it's that 4th science unit that really opens up to a child's interest, a student's interest in what they're interested in. They have a lot of options. It might be dual enrollment. It could be all kinds of things. And one of those things has been approved is computer science. And so on my website, I have the 4 science options. Just want to remind you that those are there and they're posted there. And I've included the link here so that you can see what those courses are that are approved by USG, some that are not. They qualify as a unit for graduation, but they do not or are not approved by the University System of Georgia. I do want to say that currently right now we do not have any dual enrollment computer science courses that have been approved as a 4th science. They have been approved as a CTAE pathway course or an elective, but not as that 4th science. So just want to mention that, and that's where we are right now. And then Brian, can you talk a little bit about these courses for us?
Sure. So this is exciting because as she was saying, they count as a 4th science for graduation credit, and USG accepts them as credit for going into college, which is fantastic. A lot of these courses are capstone courses in a CTAE pathway, but because they also count as a 4th science, they can also serve as that ending pathway course for a science pathway. So you could do your biology, physical science, chemistry, and then your 4th option would be programming, games, apps, and society, or computer science principles. A lot of these are, like we said, in part of a CTAE pathway, but some of them, all of them, don't have to be. Like, they operate in a very flexible manner, and we'll talk a little bit more in a minute about how flexible computer science can be as an offering. You can go to the next slide. So like I said, they can be taught in isolation. They can be a part of a CTAE pathway. They can serve as a capstone for a science pathway. You can take a series of 2 of those courses and they count for foreign language credit instead of having to take French or Spanish or Japanese or something like that. Now that only matters if you're not going to go into a formal classical foreign language in college. If you're going to study foreign languages in college, then you probably should take Spanish in high school. But if you're going into a STEM field, then this is a great option for STEM students. But we want to make sure that this is because this is one of those areas where it's novel that there's a course that has this kind of flexibility. A computer science credential can be added onto any existing credential, which means that you could be a science teacher and go and take the computer science GACE, and all of a sudden you are also a computer science teacher. Or you can go through a computer science endorsement and add that to your existing teaching credential, and you're considered in field teaching computer science courses. And that's not just those courses that are mentioned. It's a lot of computer science courses, but those particular courses also count as a science credit. So they, you can help to add those to your students' coursework. Another aspect is that you may not want to be teaching those courses directly, but you may want to add some computer science knowledge to your existing courses. CS and computational thinking, CT, those are skill sets that cross content areas, cross careers. It's something that we believe all students ultimately will need and need to have at some point in this new digital age. So at some point within your biology class, if you want to incorporate computational thinking, which incidentally shows up in a lot of the next generation science standards, if you want to incorporate that, a lot of our professional development supports the incorporation of computational thinking and computer science skills into your existing content areas. We have a lot of PD that we're working on that is targeted not just towards computer science teachers, but towards teachers in general, so that they can learn how to incorporate this into their practice.
And that segues nicely into this next slide about computational thinking.
It does. So I've sat in with Amanda while they were working on their standards for some of the fourth science options. I sat in on the astronomy team, so I'm a fan of astronomy. I sat in on a couple of other groups and noticed that computational thinking is mentioned quite a bit throughout those standards. Well, we have a lot of PD that helps us to look into what computational thinking is, so that when you are doing pattern recognition in your classes or you're doing decomposition in your classes, you can recognize that officially as a component of computational thinking. We have a lot of videos that we've done, a couple of videos we've done with in collaboration with GPB. The one that's linked here is a short video that talks about the nuances of computational thinking. And then we also have a link to the science education framework.
Yeah, the DOE GPB computational thinking video, I just recently viewed it, and it's great and phenomenal. One of the things I really like about it is there's a big emphasis on elementary students in this particular video, and we've linked it here for you to watch. It's about 5 minutes. We were going to include it today, but we felt like 5 minutes was a little long for watching a video, but I strongly encourage you to watch it. Incredibly powerful, and I think it helps really it will help you conceptualize what we mean by computational thinking. And I love seeing the elementary students so engaged with it and them actually speaking to what computational thinking is and speaking to the skills that they are using, because I think it shows us that this is a K-12 effort and something we need to be incorporating in all our subject areas. The framework for K-12 science education, there's a link to a free download to that document. That document was the foundational piece for us as we went through standards revision. This is the framework that was used for the next gen science standards that Brian just mentioned. We did not adopt those standards, but we did use the 3 dimensions that were discussed in the framework for K-12 science education that came from the research. And those 3 dimensions are science and engineering practices, cross-cutting concepts, and then the disciplinary core ideas. Those core ideas are our science content. That's what we've been teaching. That's what we know. The science and engineering practices, well, we have 8 of those, and one of those is using mathematics and computational thinking. So you will see that element in all of your courses in high school. You'll see that we are asking our students to use mathematics and computational thinking. And again, Brian mentioned, looking for a pattern. That is one of our cross-cutting concepts, is looking for patterns. And so there are lots of ways that I see that science and computer science align, and certainly helping students decompose a problem and break it down in steps. And all those processes are powerful across disciplines and really will help them as they allow to address real world challenges and to make deeper learning among the different disciplines.
And it's not just for, because we have societal level motivations for adding computer science and computational thinking into our coursework, but also into careers, is because it teaches you to be a stronger problem solver. And that's the thing, something I think that we engage in a lot of science classes is solving problems, how to investigate problems, how to look for indications of a problem or challenges, and how to address them. And that's really what you learn as a computational thinker. So the being able to solve some of our worldwide problems, climate change or things like that, is one of the things that we hope to accomplish by infusing computational thinking into the science curriculum. There's also the economic imperative. Right now we have close to 20,000 open computing jobs in Georgia with average salaries of $80,000. And it's not just software developers and programmers, it's across careers and across industries. Like there are computing jobs at the aquarium, there are computing jobs at the bank, there's computing jobs with the Atlanta Hawks, there's computing jobs across careers. So that economic imperative, that this is something that, one, our state really needs more students that have this skill set, but in addition to that, our students really need this skill set in order to be competitive in the market and in the workplace. And then that last motivation, that this is a civil rights issue, computer science and computing literacies are, like we said, becoming endemic to what is important for citizens to have in our society. And just like literacy has been in the past, if this is one of those new literacies that if you don't have it, you'll be segmented out of society. Just like you don't put proficient in Microsoft Word on your resume anymore, I guess you used to back in the day, but you don't do that anymore because we assume that everybody is. Well, if you're not, then you're going to have difficulty achieving and maintaining a job. And a lot of these skill sets go along like that. It's going to be difficult to be competitive if you don't have a background that makes you a strong problem solver. So that's the societal level motivations. Now for the school level motivations, there's a lot of those as well. The students find computers classes very engaging and satisfying, and there's a link to the code.org advocacy page. They do a lot of research to talk about students' engagement with CS classes. And again, we talked about the successful students' careers pathway. Parents are excited about computer science classes, and there are lots of options. But the last one that we want to focus on down at the bottom is that legislative mandate. In 2019, there was a law that came into effect that requires all middle schools and high schools to offer computer science. But you have to offer a computer science course, which means it could just be that one course that counts as your fourth science option. Or it could be an entire CTAE pathway, depending on how your school wants to lean into that. But that's a requirement. So there are a lot of schools that are out there right now looking for a computer science teacher or somebody that has the ability to offer and teach that course. So these are the different types of motivations you get at the school level. Another one that we don't have up here is that or there it is right there. It counts for CCRPI points. In elementary school, we have computer science courses in elementary school, in middle school, and in high school, and they all assist with the CCRPI score. So lots of school level motivations, lots of societal level motivations. Maybe we can go into the next one. And these are some of the things that we're doing with computer science now in Georgia to kind of grow this discipline into a full K-12 experience for students. We have currently right now, we have 9 endorsement programs all across the state, with several more that are coming on board. Several RESAs offer endorsement programs: the Middle Georgia RESA, the Northeast RESA, the Northwest RESA, First District RESA, and the Oconee RESA all offer endorsement programs. Some programs are focused on cross-content appeal, like there's a program that will be coming online in Mercer that focuses really on recruiting science teachers to become computer science teachers, to get the computer science endorsement, and then perhaps go on and get a master's degree, STEM degree, that the endorsement is a component of that degree. So that's currently under development. Hopefully it'll be available in the next couple of months. And Georgia State has a program where they are working with them on a grant, and it just came on board with us. So there's some courses that are available. They were created at Georgia State. We offer them for free through our platform on the DOE. You can click on them at that link right there. You can take those 3 courses. A lot of them talk about integrating computational thinking into your practice and into your pedagogy. But if you take the courses with us, and then you want to go and go to ISTE to get to take the assessment for those courses,
Hey,
those
Brian,
assessments, yes.
could you explain what ISTE is?
Yes, certainly. ISTE is the International Society of Technology Education. So they're an international group that kind of identifies what is important for students to know regarding technology, which includes computer science, but also just technology use, computing use in the classroom, things like that. So they have courses on flipped classrooms and equity in online learning and all that kinds of stuff. Well, they also offer this endorsement, this national endorsement. And if you take the 3 courses with Godot and then go take the assessment with ISTE, you qualify for getting that national endorsement, right? Which is great if you plan on leaving, going out of the state, or even staying in the state, but you want that as an extra kudos that you know how to integrate computational thinking, then it's fantastic and you can stop there. However, if you take that same credential and turn it into Georgia State, you can turn it in for course credit towards Georgia's computer science endorsement. So that's like 25% of the endorsement for Georgia State. So you can take that free online, go to get the endorsement with ISTE, get your foot in the door for endorsement with Georgia State. So this is the epitome of what a micro-credential can be, is that it has value across context. So that's a new project that just released. We just opened up the 3 courses, I think, a week and a half ago. But I looked at them recently and they're pretty impressive. I like them a lot. I would recommend them to any teacher. We also have a summit coming up in March 25th and 26th. And the focus of that is equity in CS, because even though the legislation requires all middle schools and high schools to offer it, it doesn't require all students to take it. But we recognize that this is something that's important for all students. So we want to make sure that it's not, that groups of students aren't continuing to be marginalized out of computer science. Historically, you find that minorities, women, students in rural communities, students with disabilities, all these groups of students are often marginalized out of computer science courses, out of computer science careers. So we want to make sure that that doesn't happen and talk about strategies that some existing school systems in Georgia are already using to ensure equity in CS. We also have the Computer Science Capacity Grant, which is part of the legislation, and it's a grant that I administer every year. We just finished our 2nd year of awards. We awarded 30 districts up to $25,000, and that money is primarily earmarked for teacher professional learning. So 85% of it has to be spent on teacher professional learning. It can be spent on endorsements. It can be spent on content training on how to integrate computer science into your content area. It can be spent on going to conferences, all sorts of things that would help the teacher feel more comfortable offering instruction on CT in their classroom. And that will come, the next one will probably open up in July. So look for that grant to come available in July. There's some links to our websites on the next page, and you'll be able to go and look. And that webpage is where I tend to announce the grant coming open. Currently, we have 403 credentialed computer science, including in finding a computer science teacher. They can simply have their science teacher or another teacher in another content area teach computer science one section, and that satisfies the requirement of the legislation. So these are our resources. We have lots of pages. There's a computer science page on Godot, one on Georgia State. We have a new page on georgiastandards.org for computer science. CS for Georgia is a collective impact organization with lots of stakeholders that are all pushing to broaden participation in computer science. And that EdWeb is a virtual professional learning community where teachers that are interested in teaching computer science in Georgia. So that way you can share resources, share things that you've learned, share content, things like that.
And then this is really just to kind of give you guys more information about CS, but I can't not take an opportunity to tell science teachers about the DOE science resources to make sure you're aware of them. So on our Godot page, we have tons of professional learning on demand, other resources, listservs, all kinds of things you can join. Our sample instructional units are on georgiastandards.org, as well as the Essential Toolkit. Within the Essential Toolkit, or the SLDS, you'll go to that TRL tab, but make sure you keep going past the TRL L search. Up in the upper right-hand corner is usually a blue button called the Essential Toolkit. Click that, because that will really narrow your search to things that the science team at DOE has put into the system. We categorize them by, what you need for instruction and the standards. We kind of group them differently. So make sure you go all the way to the Essential Toolkit. But also within the SLDS is a PL tab, and we have a course there now you can take to earn a badge. And in a couple of weeks, we should have a second one that's available and designed for both special ed science teachers and general ed science teachers. We've had a big collaboration with Georgia Home Classroom, and we have remote learning plans there. They're designed to last or to be for a 2-week cycle, so that if you are in quarantine and you need some sub plans, there you go. Or just as a good model and to look at, we think about the unplugged students who do not have access to the internet. We try to provide all kinds of handouts and resources and pictures of science things that they could use in a scenario where they cannot get online with a teacher in a virtual format. And then our professional learning communities are being housed on the Godot community platform and for teachers. And those are led by teachers for teachers. We have one community for K2, another for 3-5, one for 6th, 7th, 8th. And then we have a PLC for high school biological sciences, plural, and then high school physical sciences, plural. I always like to talk about our teacher from Effingham who does the physical science group. He actually teaches chemistry, physics, and physical science in his school, and also teaches face-to-face and virtual students. So he does it all. So he's great, but they're all great. They're all very passionate and share a lot of stuff. So if you haven't joined one of our virtual PLCs, please do that. And then please follow us on Twitter at Godot Science, because that's where we post things about student competitions, grants, teacher opportunities in the summer where you get paid. All the good stuff is posted there. I do think we have a question, and I'm not sure I understood it, so I tried to reply back, but I'm not sure if you saw that. So I'm going to go up to our attendees. I'm going to unmute everyone. And then if somebody has a question, you can grab the mic, or feel free to type it in the chat box as well.
Thanks for joining us. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Thanks.